here. So I'm Dr. Olariwaju is my mentor, and he assists me a lot during my service here in Ibadan. So I'm grateful for that. So today we'll be diving into introduction to Power Query, and I want you guys to know one thing. This is going to be theoretical and a little bit of practical. So I've arranged with Mr. Paul, I think he's on the call, who is going to be the next instructor, the way we are going to do the class. And I believe you guys are going to have wonderful experience. So no need of introduction about me. So another thing that I like showing most is I'm a Liverpool fan. I like watching football. So if you want to learn more, you can check me on LinkedIn, and I like volunteering a lot. So that is my name on LinkedIn. Just type it like that. So let's get to today's topic. What is our agenda? So today we will be looking at the Power Query editor. Some people call it Power Query editor. Some people just name it Power Query. And sometimes you hear some people that call it M because it also has a programming side of it. So interchangeably in this class, I might be calling Power Query M, Power Query editor, or just name it Power Query. So, and we'll be looking at the importance of it, not just only Power BI. This editor is in Excel. I believe if you are using Excel from 2010 upward, you will have access to Power Query interface. And the important thing about knowing this tool is Microsoft has suite of technologies on Azure, Power Apps, Microsoft Fabrics, and they use this Power Query interface. So by taking this class and learning it well, you will be learning a skills that is transferable across different Microsoft technology. So we'll be looking at the key benefits of Power Query, basic component of it, common data cleaning steps that every analyst usually face in Power Query. So the class starts now. So I'm in the presenter mode. So if the coordinator, maybe somebody is raising up his hand, you can please let me know. I'm sharing my slide now, so I can't know what is going on the chat. And please, let's be respectful to one another and ask questions when you have one. So for people using Excel, Power Query is an add-on, and we usually use it to import, transform, merge data from different sources. So what is the purpose of data we have that we can't use and we can't get enough information on? So Power Query allows us to write low code and no code formulas and a little bit of programming if you want to do advanced stuff on it. And is also an interface, an experience in Power Query, in Power BI rather. So what is Power Query? Once again, we can say that is a data transformation and data preparation tool. So now I will be showing you, starting with Excel, because I like looking at Power Query from Excel point of view, and we'll be demonstrating the same in Power BI. So if you open a blank Excel sheet and you go to the data view and you click on get data, you will see launch Power Query editor. So you can follow along. If I'm too fast, I believe this class is a recorded class and you will have access to the recording. So the difference between Power Query in Excel and Power Query in Power BI is that the Excel version does not have Azure integration technology. Like there is no Azure here. We just have the home, transform, add, and view. And if I open the Power Query editor in Power BI, I'm open a blank report. And if I navigate, you can navigate to the Power Query source by just clicking on this transform. You can just click on transform data or tap on it. It will direct you to the Power Query editor. And I'll be showing you the difference between the two. But apart from the Azure integration, and there are some updates that Power BI used to receive, like semi-join. So that's not available in Excel for now. So we have the transform tab here, add column, view, and tools. So when you are working with Azure, you can see that we have Azure Machine Learning here, Azure Vision, and text analysis. I've worked with text analysis on Power Query editor before, but you can only use this maybe if you have a paid license Pro for Power BI. So, and in this class, I'm using a paid license, so I can demonstrate that. But you might not have access to it because it will ask you to integrate with Azure for free. So with these machine learning tools, maybe you can perform machine learning tasks like sentiment analysis, prediction inside Power Query. So that's the difference between the Excel interface and the Power BI interface. So basically, we use them for data transformation. And why is data preparation and transformation important? Some people call it data cleaning. Some people call it cleaning. So you might add different name. So why is it important? So one of the main reasons is Power Query simplify this for us because the user-friendly interface, instead of writing, for people that are using Python here, we know how hard it is or how, like the way we treat it. Those tools are cool and I use them a lot. But Power Query allows us, anybody on this call can use Power Query, drag and drop. So instead of thinking ChatGPT code every time, we just drag and drop by testing it. You can simplify your data cleaning process and you can also automate with it, which also help reduce errors in data transformation. So easy. The Power Query editor on Power BI is built on top of one engine called Vertipack, and that's the engine Power BI is built on. Like one thing this engine usually does for Power Query is when we load data, large data coming, let's say 10 gig files, and you load it into Power Query, instead of that file to stay at 10 gig, it's going to compress them like the way zip file work. You know, if we put some data into zip, the file size is going to reduce. So this Power Query editor also does that for us. So instead of using different, instead of having large data, we have a reduced data. And our data transformation, because we can perform it repeatably and automated, because they usually list them in step. And when we dive into the practical aspect of it, we will be learning more. So it also streamlines data collection. So this means that we can get data from different sources. So now I will be demonstrating how we can get data from different sources using Power Query editor. So for now, we can get data from fabrics, we can get data from Azure, we can get data from everywhere. So I want to switch my account to another account. So in order for me to be able to demonstrate this better. So a moment, please. So while we are waiting for that, in case you have any question, please let us know in the chat and I will give time for us to ask me any question. So if you are using the paid license, it's going to ask you for this kind of thing. So now I've signed in on my Power BI developer account. I don't know if that's still available, but we usually use it to do last year. So I can import data from SQL Server. I can import data from Excel. So the installation, okay, I believe you can install Power BI directly from the web, and I believe they should have gone through that yesterday with us on the web. Just type Power BI, download. But on MacBook, I think it would be very hard to install Power BI. You can check YouTube for more. Just click on download Power BI. You can download it here, and you can go to Microsoft Store to download Power BI. So I'll be launching my SQL Server to see advanced stuff. Maybe we want to do advanced connection. We have the ability to do that in Power Query Editor. So firstly, you can see common data connection here, data source. We can connect from Excel. So if you want to connect from Excel, you can just click on any of these or look at this get data, click on it. But since we are treating Power Query here, I would like us to demonstrate it on Power Query Editor experience. We can also do the same in there. So it's just faster. And I like using this because I'm in the experience I want to teach. So it's a moment. Now let's connect data to Excel, any Excel file on my system. So in SQL, anything they wrote, any code they wrote, they call it query. And query means question. So, and in this also, we are looking at a query. So we want to structure the data in order for us to ask the data a question. So when you right click on any of these parts, if you are following along and you hover on this ellipse button, you can see Excel workbook. And I can look at any of my file on my system. So I have different file here. So let me use this one. I don't even know the one. So let me just use this one. So for now, I'm connecting to Excel. And Apart from connecting to Excel, some people that have been using Power Query believe that it's only connecting to Excel, CSV file, but you can do more with it. You can connect to Fabrics, you can connect to S3 on AWS, and you can do a lot of cool stuff. And I want to check if I have a credential for one open database I used to use. So I will connect to that live database on this call. So let me see. It should be in SQL. So the credentials is there. If they still give me access. So when you open the Power Query editor, you have two options. If you have connected your data, you will see that it's telling you the whole files in the Excel, which is not looking good. This file is not looking good. And it's showing me another file. So by doing this, I'm seeing the preview. If I want to load the two data, I will click on it, the two. If I want to load one of them, I will click on one. I think this is just a metadata about some states in the UK. So it's not looking good, and I believe it needs a lot of transformation. So just a quick question on the chat. Anyone, please, can you please differentiate between Excel workbook and a text file? What is the difference? I want this class to be interactive because I believe we have been treating data analysis since. So let's say they said that file is a text file and that file is Excel workbook. How do you know that is Excel workbook or is a text file? If anybody wants to assist on the chat, you can drop it. And if you want to speak, you can mute your mic or raise up your hand. Okay, Mr. Mohammed, you can mute yourself.
Mostly by looking at the extension of the file.
Okay, thank you very much. So if you want to look at the extension, okay, for now, I'm going to pull I'm going to drag this very long. So let's say I have multiple files here. So this file over here is, I'm going to drag this wild. Let me show the property so that everybody can see it. So this file here is Microsoft Excel worksheets. So, and this file here is text documents. So how do you know? Just like people that are beginner on the call, I'm very sorry for dragging this long so that they can understand. This open AI key, I will not open it because it's my own secret key, is a text file. And this one is the Excel file. So how do you recognize them on your system? Hello, Mr. Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed, you can unmute.
Hello?
Hello.
You said I should differentiate between...
Yes. How do you know them? Like the way I have this Twitter API now, you know, my system is showing text. What does text means? This one is showing Microsoft Excel workbook. What does it mean? So how do you differentiate it? In case people are looking when they send them data sometimes.
Okay, you can use the icon.
Okay. And so for people that are seeing, somebody is raising up his hand and Mr. Mohammed has provided a valuable answer to this. So based on these class files I sent to us, so I think I put it in here. When you look at something like this, Sometimes the icon can be deceiving for text file. So now, anyone on the call, this file extension, Microsoft Excel, separated value. What type of file is this? Is this a Excel file or a text file? Or you can just tell us the answer. Anyone? Okay, Mr. Mohammed. Okay, somebody has sent it on the chat that is a CSV. So no need of calling anyone again. So okay. When you look at this, you will see that it's showing, when I hover this, it will be showing Microsoft Excel, separated values. And sometimes it will be like this. So this is a text file, and this is also a text file. But Power Query categorizes them as the same. So if you are doing that, you need to be very, very careful by looking at this extension, because the first thing when you want to start anything on Power BI is you must know the type of data you want to work with. Is very, very important. So this is Excel file, and the difference between Excel file and Microsoft and CSV file is Excel file workbook can store calculation and it can store multiple sheets, but a separated value always has one sheet, and separated file cannot store files in table. So that's just the basic difference. So we have connected to Excel file. Let's connect to a text file. You can see text and CSV are together. So if we want to do this, I can look at, let me just use this one. I can look at any of these. This is a text file. You can see text documents. You can click on it. And if you look at the files that I've sent to you, I've put all this in there, that the flat files and the exercise files. So they are all this. So let's say I click on any of this now. It's going to show me a text file. And you can see the preview. And this is what I have, and I'm okay with it. So we also have different connectors, like we have a lot. We have SQL Server analysis from the web. So let's try from the web. That would be very, very cool. So I'm going to my browser right now and type world population. There are some open data around this, I'm very sure. So world population. So we have worldometer, different sites. So I'll be using this data here, and I'll paste the link on the chat in case you want to try it and follow along. So we can get data. Please, the coordinator, the link to the data source, please, can you please send it to the group chat? Because I have to be looking at my WhatsApp now.
No problem, no problem.
Okay, so now the link to this data set, you can see like this file is on the web. I'll send the link to the chat in case you want to follow along. So you can see this table is on the web. Let's say I want to connect to this table in real time in Power Query Editor. The only thing it's going to ask me is the URL. But sometimes you might be working with API. So this has catch requests for people working with Python. But most of the time, we use one thing called OData feed to work with API, but it's not smooth in Power Query. So I'd suggest using Python and ProQuest for that. So I'll paste the link in here, and drum roll voila. we are going to, and he's asking me, you can see the web API I talk about. So we want to stay anonymous. We just want to connect to the data. And immediately this data on this page, we are going to see it, how we can connect to it. But before we look at it, it's going to bring us many, let me just put it, things that we don't need. So it's loading, because we are trying to connect to data on this website. You can follow along. This is a simple example, and I will demonstrate it again for us. You can see it's connecting now. So we are waiting for the moment right now. I don't know why it's taking long. So while we are waiting for it, so we can see that Power Query has read this page. Power Query has read this page, and there are two options for people that are web scraping. You can get anything from this page by using add table using example. Let's say I don't know what to get, and it's not showing me this table. You can see it's showing HTML table. Let me go to table view. This is this data set already in here. So where did you click on Power Query to open the Power Query file? So I will demonstrate that again in Power BI. Just double tap this transform. When you double tap this transform, it will direct you to this page. And when you get to this page, I will show you the next step. But the main thing I want to demonstrate here is you can see this data from the web, and we have it here. And when we are working in a company, we work with data in real world scenario. So this is an example of a data analysis project you can do, because you are demonstrating everything here based on real world scenario, and it will be pretty cool. So we have another table on this thing, and we can see it here. We don't need this. So let's just work with table one and load it. So once again, I'll be showing you the demonstration for people that did not catch up. If you want to get any data in Power Query, you right click here. It will show you get data. The reason why this is very slow is we are getting data from this website, and this is a public website, and the traffic might be high. So it also affects your query speed. So we can see here is the data we have on the web. India has 14,000 something. Is somebody speaking? And when we look at it here, this is Indian population. So once again, for the demonstration, but I will not be loading anything. You can get data from Excel by clicking Excel. You go to your workbook file, anywhere you load the data, any folder in your system, you connect to it and you click on it and press open. It will open. You can connect to CSV. So CSV file and text file in Power Query. Okay, where I put get data in Power BI, I've demonstrated it again. So you can get data from here. And if you want to go straight directly to the Power Query editor, click on this, double tap on this transform, or click on this LUIS button, click on transform data, and it will direct you to this page. So if you want to get data, you can see new source over here, up here. There are different methods. When you click on more, it's going to show you another page here. There is no one way to get data. This is an interface. So you can see different here, database, Microsoft Fabric, Power Platform. There is no one way. You can even search. Maybe you don't know what you want to use. You can use others self. There are other, it has put it here. I think it has it here. We have others. So, and if you don't want to go to this, you can just hover on the query and click on anywhere you want. So for the last example I did, I click on the web. So when you click on the web, I paste the URL, is in the charts. I click OK and I select the table I want. That's where we have this. And you know, when I open my system, I have different folder. I group everything, although this is not looking good. But you can see some things here on my personal OneDrive account that they are in folder. In case you want to do something like this, like something related should be grouped together and others should be grouped together. I can say when you want to do something like that, you can just create new group. So new group in Power Query allows you to group certain common things, common queries together, because all these tabs are query. And one thing that this is good is it is good in organization. And in company, you might not be the only one working on a particular data set. So by grouping data, it will help you. So I can just put demonstration as this name. So count this grouping as a folder. So I can just say, and the person that asked this question on the chat, yes, you can get data directly. But when you get data directly from I'm going to demonstrate it now. So it has a little side to it. So if you want to move any of this to this folder, you can just drag it and put it on it. Like the way you are moving things, as I told you, it has a drag and drop interface. It has a drag and drop interface. So this is my demonstration. So any other thing you do, if I want to put any other query here, it will be in order. But if I want to add to this, I can click on it, still add the query, or change the name of the group. So for the person that is asking this question, I'm just going to click on close. I will not apply this query to the data set, and I will explain that toward the end of the call. So as I told you, you can use this get data. So when you use this get data from here, let's say I click on text and CSV directly in here, it will direct me to this. So when it directs me to this, I click on open. The only difference is it's going to ask me one question. See, all these things are English. It will ask me, did I want to load the data straight? Most of the time, I don't advise this unless you are very sure that the data you want to use is very good. So if I want to inspect the data, just press transform data. It will direct me us back into the Power Query editor. You can see it's the same. So So it's the same like this. Although this is an empty data, I'm very sorry for you. So you can get data from there. So another source, we want to get data. Let's say now, I have this SQL server on my system. Where is it? I'm using my Windows Authenticator. We have a database, and this database, we have different, everything I'm using here is open source. If you want to learn how to do it, I have a blog post on it. So I have this different database. So which database did I even have here? Okay, I have a temporary database. My tables have deleted. How did I create the first query? Oops. I don't have time. I might use other ways. Maybe because I've opened it. Okay. Let me look at this. If you can show any data, we will connect to this. Oops. My adventure database has deleted. So let me check if we can connect to another database online. I will not be showing you the credentials. This is also an open source database. So somebody is asking, do I need to be online to load the data? If you want to connect to data on the web, I go to this website. So you need data to be able to do this one. You need to be connected to an online. But for the CSV file on your system, you don't need data. So let me find a database. Where is the SQL credentials? So in order for everybody not to copy my credentials, I'll move it somewhere else. So if I still have access to this, maybe they have not removed me. So let's say now I want to connect to a database online, a SQL Server database online. I can just create a group SQL Server because I'm connecting to different data sets. So I can just click on SQL Server and press on SQL Server. So it's going to ask me the connectivity mode. So this connectivity mode, for now, I will leave it in import. And in order for us not to make this class advanced, this is just saying that, okay, load this data, and this data should only be refreshed when you say maybe 2 times a day, but you have to go and specify it. But if you did not specify it, it's not going to refresh. But you see this direct query mode, this works in real time. So maybe you are watching Premier League and you want to see the scores in real time. So you can use maybe direct query mode. But when you get to data modeling, it's going to tell you that. So it's going to ask for some credentials. It's going to ask for the server. So I have the server in here. But when I get to the authenticator, I'm going to move this to another page. So it's going to ask me server. So it's just going to be something like this, .windows.net. So when it asks me database name, I might put the database name such as Adventure Works because it has password, but I'll be demonstrating it for you later on. But for now, I want to put the whole credentials. So I'm going to move it into this tab. I'm not sharing. So please a moment. When it connects, I will move it back so that for us to see. So I've pressed OK by inputting. You people will see my password. Okay, I've not reached the part of the password. So it's not asking me for password for now. So I've connected to this database online, and you can see this is a database functioning online. We can see different tables here. So anywhere you see dim account means dimension table. So Power Query is very so very powerful. So I'm connecting it to a SQL server. This one, I told you on my local drive, I think the database I have there, I might have deleted it. I don't even know. So when I don't have it, since somebody has took his time, one of my boss has took his time to publish this database online, so we can do something like that. So we have the product subcategory. So I'm going to do one thing here again. I'm going to load this customer table in here. So Power Query allows us. So for now, we have connect to Excel data. We have connect to a database online. And if I have access to this, there is a way also you can connect by writing SQL code. Maybe the person did not specify it for you. Some people might give you a SQL code for you to connect to by giving you the database credentials by again. You can't connect to this because I have the password. I've put the password there and it's not going to ask me again. Or I can just say that select cancel. You can see it's asking me for password now. So again, sorry. I believe if I'm making sense, please let me know in the class, or it's going too advanced. Please let me know. Any question while I'm connecting my password to it again? You can see I put my password here, so nobody can see my password now. But while we are doing this, did anyone have question? I'm too fast. How do we get the password? I can't give you the password. Somebody gave it to me. So I think I'm having credential issues. I can't give you that. So I think I'm having issue on that. But this is the same thing I want to do. I just want to demonstrate how we can get data from a database. So we have done that. We have load data by demonstrating how we can connect data from the web. I'm sorry, Emmanuel, if I'm too fast. We have demonstrated how we can get data from the web, how we can get data from Excel, and how we can get data from different sources. So we go back to our slide back. But before, so how can Power Query enhance workflow efficiency? So, and we can see that by connecting to it using the drag and drop interface, we reduce error, and the interface is pretty cool. For now, it might seem like the interface is hard. But when you start using it, in fact, I write Python and I write SQL. But in any day, anytime, if there is a way for me to use Power Query, I can use it. And I can give you one testimony about this tool. One of the reasons why I got employed at my current work is because I know how to use this tool very well at that time, to my own knowledge. So it's because I know it, and you might be learning different things in your learning journey. But sometimes a company might be looking for just a tool, somebody that can help them to solve their transformation need. And they don't require a big Python user. Maybe they are using Excel, and Power Query can help on that. So you can automate different things, you can reduce error and the user-friendly interface. So integration for Microsoft across Microsoft products. So now we have done this same thing in Power Query Editor in Power BI. You can see that from here, this is where I connect to the HTML. And when you look at something here, you see properties. When you open your file in your system, when you open file on your system, it always shows properties, a metadata like this. Metadata is just data about data. So a little details like this. Power Query also has something like that, but we call them properties. So if I want to change this query name, there are two ways to do it. Like I said, there is no one way to do transformation in Power Query. So now let's say I want to change this table 1 to world population data. I can come here and just edit this world population. I'm just going to do world pop. So you can see that here change to world pop. And if I want to change this name of this query, so sometimes look at this query as table and look at this query as query in SQL. So I can press rename again, type it here and put population. So you can rename like that. And when Mr. Paul started going into the gritty of it during his session, because I'm just giving you the introduction now, and we'll be diving into a lot. So he will be telling you the apply step. Everything you do in Power Query is one by one. So a little demonstration about this is I'm going to delete this number column, S and N, serial number. So I'm going to delete it. Is a step. Let's say, you know, the way we have undo, redo in Power BI, be in Excel. If I want to undo this, you can only undo, but there is no redo in Power BI. So if I want to cancel this step now, and I look at this apply step, you can see it on your editor. If you are following along, you will see this apply step and you will see this star. When I click on it, it's going to bring back this 1 and 2. But I'm going to delete it in order for me to show you something, because we want to see how Power Query integrates across different Microsoft products. So everything you are doing, even though we are using drag and drop, is generating code. And the code is called M. When you look at this top button up here, if you hover your mouse to this top, you will see that it's showing table.remove columns, change type, hash. When I hover down, you will see the code. But this is just this last step. So now Let's say now you don't have time, you're in your working place, and your boss just need a spreadsheet file about this transformation you did here. Because this is a decimal. So let me change this to decimal. Percentage, okay. It's showing percentage, but I want to put it as a decimal number. So it should be in decimal. So I've done a lot, I've changed a lot. So I've changed this to also decimal. This is just demonstration. You can follow along. So now, let's say your boss quickly say, see, I need this data in Excel quickly. There are two ways. If you have deployed, when you go into Power BI very well, if you have deployed this data on Power BI service, you can just send your boss a link for him to connect to this data. But right now in this class, we have not deployed anything. We don't even have data. Let's just agree like that. But this one, we will need data. So your boss now said, I want to see this thing in Excel. The way you do this now. So you have to, a quick option to use. You have to use the Power Query Advanced Editor. So if it is me, I will just come here, forget about all this. Press Ctrl A, press Ctrl C. You know, I told you Power Query is in Excel. I will copy this. I will go to my Excel. Let me close this again. When you open a blank sheet in Excel, for you to navigate to the Power Query Editor, you click on Get Data. You go to the Data tab because Excel will direct you to Home. You are in the Home. You go to Data. You click on Data. You click on Get Data. You click the down button, and you will see Launch Power Query Editor. We will have the same interface like the Power BIO. But when you copy it, and I open it in Excel, the Power Query Editor in Excel, I'm in it now. I don't have to, I told you I don't have time. If I have time, I should have done it again by connecting to the web. But I don't have time. So one thing I'm going to do, since I've performed a lot of steps in the Power BI, you can see I've removed column. Okay, we have not even started the drive. As I told you, I'm following this PowerPoint in, slide. This is just introduction I'm giving you guys. And I will tell you one thing. You can see my side here. If you can see my screen, you see this book. You see this book. Power Query is not something that is very big. And most of the time when we are learning, we usually want to go to the data. Let's do the technical parts. So I'm just giving you introduction. The slide, the files that I sent to you, Mr. Paul is going to make another adjustment to it. But for now, people that are following along can follow along. I'm using this step I did here when I import data. Anywhere you are, maybe you follow along when I import this world population data from the web. If you follow this step that time and you have the recording, you follow it, you can follow along. So anywhere you are, I'll send the slide to you. So anywhere you are in this world population data set, go to your home tab in Power Query Editor. Click on Advanced Editor and copy everything you see here. I've copied it before, but let me try it again. You copy it and you press done, and you go to your Excel. And I told you, I have demonstrated for you again, once again, to open Power Query Editor in Excel. You can connect data directly, but what I want to do here, I might need one thing. So what I want to do here is, your boss asks you, this situation is, what you have performed here, your boss quickly needs it in Excel. And as I said, there are two ways to do it. Before the end of this class, they are going to teach you Power BI on the web. If we have deployed this on the web, we do the simple technical part. Don't worry, it's going to be very simple when they introduce you to it. So you can send the link to the semantic model to your boss. But for now, you don't have time. So one thing you are going to do is when you open the Power Query editor, you click on the new query and you go to others. When you go to others, you are going to see one thing. Once again, click on right click over on the new query, go to other sources. You see, we have on the web, we can perform that same step again, but we don't have time. Since we have the code already that Power Query has generated for us, I click on new step. The reason why I'm doing this is I just want to show you that the code side of it, because all this step we are doing is generating code. So we know that it has writes all this code for us automatically. So in Excel now, when I open this, when I create this blank query, I will now go to home. You will see the advanced editor, the way we have it in Power Query editor in Power BI. We have the advanced editor here. And also in Excel, I'm in Excel tab now. We have the advanced editor. I will click on it. You see that it has started generating a code for us. Let's say now, my oga in the house, when my oga was teaching us Python that time last year, when I was in one of his class, he starts with hello world. So in case you want to do something like that in Power Query, you can do it. I don't know the reason why. I think this is because I watched a movie about Apple. So I think the hello world was during the launch of iPhone, and Jeff Bezos kind of want to test something. I don't know the story, but I don't know the reason why we always write hello world when we start a programming language. But my guy will lay more hands on that. So I want to type hello world now. The way this code is, the way it is now, I did not do anything. The only thing I just put in this column is hello world, and it's going to show it to me. Because as I told you, Power Query editor, Power Query generates M code, and M code is a functional programming language. We only use it to perform function. But everything in here now, we have copied the code from Power BI. I'm going to delete everything. And I'll paste Ctrl V. I'll paste everything here. And press done. You can see it's loading. It's loading. So why is loading? Anybody with question? Because I know we are going into the details very, very. And the reason why I'm doing this is I want everybody to understand. So while this is loading, if you have a question, you have the opportunity to ask now. Anybody with question? Okay, Mr. Thomas, you can unmute yourself. Okay. I'm going to unmute you now. So, Mr. Thomas, you can speak. I've asked you to unmute. Is it possible to operate Power BI on your phone?
Okay, thank
Please,
you.
hold on. You
Good
can't
day,
operate
sir.
Power. Okay, continue, sir. Good day.
Okay, good day, sir.
Good day, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. I can hear you clearly, sir.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you, sir. I can hear
Okay,
you.
yes. I loaded. Okay, my question is this. I loaded. Okay, I loaded the data from the web on the Power Query, following the example that you did. So what I want to ask, one is, from the navigation, do I go for transform data or load data? The first one, I use transform data. Then when you asked us to get an Excel data, I connected with Excel, but I now use load data. So are they
You
the
are,
same thing?
I've demonstrated this for you. If you are sure of the data, you can click on load data. But if you are not sure, you want to perform data cleaning on it, like the way the language said, transform data, you should click on transform data. When you click on transform data, it directs you to this Power Query editor. Is it possible to operate Power BI on your phone? Let's look at this. Why is it showing error?
So,
I'm going to press refresh now. Let me cancel it and press or refresh. You can only use Power BI on your phone if you have Power BI service. And the only thing you can do on your phone, even though you have Power BI services, you can maybe the way I'm doing my Power BI reports, I can share it to you to see it on the phone, or share alerts for you to see it on the phone. So that's the only thing. I think the web is loading pretty slow. I think I might have to use the text data. So let's say I remove the first row over here. The web is loading very slow. I don't know why. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove the top rows here. We are going to do this. Mr. Paul is going to handle it. I'm going to remove one row here. You might not follow along with this. Use first row as header. I want to demonstrate how you can use the same code in Excel. Let me copy this again. The web is taking very, very long. And when we load the data from the web that time also, it takes longer time. But based on it, you can see the concepts here. You can see no syntax error have been detected. Everything is working fine. So why not waste time on it? Because this is 2 hours class, but I think the way we are going, we'll be using more than that. But I'll try to keep up to the time. So once again, go to the other sources, click on blank query. Now I'm using this one here. One of the data I got, the obstruction data in the file. When you load the obstruction data in the file, after you have done some things on it, just do anything on it. So go to the advanced editor, copy it. So I'm going back to the blank query in Excel. I will click on advanced editor and put everything in here. You can see no syntax error detected, and I think this should work fine and fast safe. So we can see by copying this code here in Power BI, we have the same thing in Excel. But sometimes if there is security to your data, you might have to operate the security again when in the source when you are working in Excel. I'm sorry for this query, it's just loading. So that's it on it. So we go back to our slide. So integration about Power Query across Microsoft technology. So when you use Microsoft Fabrics, Power Query, we use it for import, transformation, and analysis process in Excel. And you can see it here also. We have it in Excel, like the demonstration. So we have it also it also assists in handling complex data modeling scenarios in analysis services. So on this software, if you are using the version on Azure, you have option of using Power Query. I don't know whether this one has it. This one we ask you to write SQL. But for Power SQL user, you can use it. Also, there is a product in Power Platform called Dataverse. Dataverse also has Power Query. So by knowing this, you have learned how to work with analysis service. You have learned how to work with Dataverse, and there is something called Data Factory in. Let me log into my Fabrics. So for us to see it, because fabrics.com, this is going to ask me for login credentials. I'll be using my developer accounts. I think if Mr. Paul is oh, please, can you please just close this slide on your end? I can see you moving on this, my slide on the screen, because we are collaborating together. Thank you. So you can see it's asking me for different credentials. This is the one I'm using in Power BI. I have my password in here, but it's going to ask me to authenticate now. This is my developer account, so I can share you anything. So it's asking me to press 52. Also, when you are doing any transformation, you are as a data analyst, you must also protect your environment. So in fact, I put password in my listing, but most of the time I use an application called One Password, which I have here to generate one password for me. And at top of it, it also puts this thing. I also put authenticator. So we have different experience in Microsoft Fabrics, but I will not be demonstrating any of this. What I want to show you is, okay, I have to go back to the data factory because that's what I'm explaining now. Sorry. So now, let's say I want to do anything in data factory. So if I click on it, but this query that I copied, I can't perform it in data factory experience. So it's asking me to, let me just use any workspace, Gary. So let me use this one. But I just want to show you what I want to demonstrate for you now is you can use same Power Query in data factory. So but it's called data flow Gen 1 or Gen 2. So me, I like using this data flow Gen 2. So it's just Power Query on Microsoft Fabric. So when you learn how to use this very, very well, you will learn how to work on different technology. So if somebody asks you in your interview, have you used why is it not showing? No, do now. Have you used Fabrics before? You can just tell them, I have not worked on Fabrics before, but I've worked on Power Query. This is an interview answer you can give them. I've worked on Power Query, and Power Query has an experience in Microsoft Fabrics called Data Flow Gen 2. And with my knowledge of Power Query, I can work on this interface efficiently. Sorry. So it's loading. So the editor is loading but there might be a slight change in it. So for people that are looking into the technical parts, that you want to clean data, you want to do many things, before you start cleaning your data, you need to understand the environment that you are working it, you are working in. And most of the time, you look at data cleaning from strategic point of view. I've made that mistake before because I know how to use Power Query. I just jump in. You might want to connect to a data. There might be a security layer on it. So you will need to test that. You can see import from Excel, import from SQL Server, import from data flow. So this data flow is just Power Query, another Power Query. So we have the transform, we have copilot, add column. The same way we have it. You can see it here that this is all should bring exposure to this. This has transform, add column, view, tools, help. Everything the Power Query editor has in Power BI. The copilot, the one in Microsoft Fabrics, also has it. So when you get in an interview, so let's create a query. So let me use blank query the way I did it that time. So it's asking for data gateway. So let me try to check whether the one from the web will work. The one from the Excel we did will not work because we need data gateway in order for us to do that. So let me check the one from the web, whether it will work. And we can see it's also loading. It's showing error, mashup. So they said this data source is not selected for fast copy. So it's asking me to connect again. That's just the only error we are seeing. And why is it not working? So just a quick demonstration. I'm going to use this data from the web again in Microsoft Fabric. There is error on the website. Don't let us waste much time on it. This is Power Query Editor also on the web. My main point of this is not for us to use it. It's just for us to show you that when you know how to work with this very well in Excel, you can work better with it in Power Query. Don't mind this code. This one are disgrace. So any questions so far? And any questions so far? I'm sorry, this thing is showing error. So you can work with Data Factory. Data Factory is in Azure. Data Factory is in Fabric. So you can connect to why different a lot of source. You can connect with Dynamics 365. Power Query is also there. And you can use it, the same view in Dynamics 365 Customer Insights and Customer Sales Navigator, different tools. So can you, and please, somebody is asking a question. Can you specify when we are to use the platform? I use Microsoft Fabric, Power BI, looking that they both have the same interface. Thank you. You see, let's say your organization use Azure. Azure has different products that has Power Query embedded in it. So they might give you, let's say you are working in a company and your company usually use Azure to store all their data. So, and they're asking you to come and do data transformation for them. Maybe they store that data in a storage called file storage. Count that file storage as one of these OneDrive in Azure. All this OneDrive, Google Drive, we have different, all those storage we have them in Azure. So count table storage or storage accounts as one of them. So they are not telling you that that data is there on Azure storage, that can you help them to clean it? And they are telling you that are you going to use Python? Are you going to use Databricks? Are you going to write SQL? Many things. But you are a beginner and you want to use the tools. See, every tools Python have, they are powerful. And I can tell you one thing, the first project I work in my company, because I work in a company in the UK, and that company I work with is company that when I watch Champions League or Premier League using Sky Sports or Star Sports sometimes, I usually see the adverts of that company in the UK. And that time when I got the job, I can write Python, but the people in my team can write Python more than me. And I don't want to boast skills. My own is just to give them solution. When they said, how can I connect to some data source in Azure? Because if I want to be writing Python, they'll be telling me I have to configure environment. Although I can use ChatGPT, do many things to do that. But I know the easiest tool that I use mostly is Power Query. And I know there are different products in Azure that have Power Query. So I just told them that I type it on ChatGPT that day that different products in Azure that use Power Query. We can do it now, Seth. You can see, let me put ChatGPT here. Me, I'm somebody that we are AI Saturday, and I encourage people to use AI. But when you use AI, tell people that you use AI. Different products in Azure. Okay, let me just put it there for context. Different data products in Azure that use Power Query. So you can see it's telling us Data Factory, Synapse Analytics, Power BI, because Power BI is built on Azure Power Apps. So sometimes before you ask people question, I'm just saying asking question is very, very good because that's why we are on this call to learn. But sometimes ask ChatGPT first. If you have any question for me, and I know that you can do that, you can ask ChatGPT that question or Copilot, because me now I have Copilot access. You can use Copilot in Edge, and if your company give you Copilot access, you can ask it also. So this one, it might ask me to authenticate again. But we are not doing it. Let's just focus on ChatGPT. So it's telling you Azure Data Factory, Synapse Analytics. They have Power Query Editor. This similar interface in Fabrics, you are going to have it there. The thing is, don't let anybody from anywhere, like, sorry to not native Yoruba speaker on this call. Am I get anybody? Everything is packaging. Let's say I want to demonstrate this again. I delete all this now. I delete this query. The way I'm going to delete in Excel, the way I'm going to rename, the way I'm going to group, that's the way I'm going to do it in also Fabrics. Now, I want to connect to this data on the web. The thing is, because this is on Fabrics, it might be asking us data gateway. But when you get to Power BI service, I believe the person that is going to handle that is going to tell you. So let's say I want to connect to the web interface now. Let me just say I put it. This is why it's not connecting that time. So it's going to ask me create connection. I'm going to put new connection, data gateway none. So I'm not using no gateway. It's this gateway that is causing an issue. I'm using anonymous now. Forget about these credentials on Microsoft Fabrics. The only concern we have here, no, is my load error. I should have changed this to none. My loader. The main thing is you know how to use fabrics in Excel. You might know how to use fabrics in Power BI, Data Factory, Dynamic 365, and they have the same interface. The only difference is the interface in Azure, in Excel rather, did not have Azure support, but all the rest have Azure support. So that's it. Any other question? When this load finish, I'm going to, in case you have question, you can raise up your hand. The class is going now. So while we are waiting for question, what are the key benefits of Power Query? We have said it again. It simplifies data transformation and cleaning. And when you have the slide, you can go to automative repetitive tasks. I said it again. And data transformation made easy. You can see the way I load data on Excel. The only reason why all this is asking me here is the connection. In order for us to connect this thing, because security is important when you are working on Fabrics, Azure, and the rest like that. So now you streamline data for efficiency, connection. You are going to have the slide. Interface of the Power Query. We have the query pane. So here is the query pane. I've demonstrated here. We have the query pane. We have the query editor. So we have the query where user can view, edit the query, such as source data. So every button you are clicking in here, the query editor, the add column, delete column, all these things over here, they are query editor. So all these are like functions you can use for your data transformation. So we have function library. They are like filtering, and when Mr. Paul starts his class, he's going to explain the function library. So you can load data from Excel, which we have demonstrated. CSV, we have demonstrated. Database, SQL. Yeah, we even touch more on this database better because why? Let me cancel. It's taking longer time. It's taking longer time. But for ways you can do it, you need to have access to Fabrics, and it's taking longer time. I don't know why. But if it load finish, it's going to give us is the security. So web data, which is the data we are getting from the web in here. We have web data also. So we can transform, we can filter data. So let's say in here, I want to see 250 and 300 only. We can filter data in Power Query Editor. So this will enable us to identify and analyze the subset of the data we need. So let's say your boss wants to need a specific data, you can filter, you can sort the way it happens in Excel. When we introduce you guys to Excel, and you can delete your last step, you can undo, but you can't redo. You can see now, I don't need this filter rows again. I can delete it in the applied step here. So let's say I want to sort in ascending order. I can sort here. And we can merge. Mr. Paul is going to demonstrate that we can merge two things together and append. So 7 golden rules of data transformation. So most of the time when we transform data, we don't even know what we are doing. There are some specific rules Voila, you can see this is on Fabrics, the demonstration on Fabrics that time. And we can see after our gateway, I'm really happy that this thing works. I'm just going to load it because I know it's going to work now. I'm happy that this works. I'm very, very happy. So let me just press quit. It's still going to take time. So you can see that apart from the credentials is asking us, which is security. When we are working in security, there are some data practices we must follow, such as password, and there are organizations that also assist this and set rules on this. I think we have Nigerian Data Protection, we have ISO, we have CMAT, but that ISO is common in Europe. So those are like bodies that make sure that you put correct data people in the people that have the right access should handle the data they are assigned to. So this organization called the Bank Consulting, they are a consulting firm in Lagos, and one of my boss work with them. That's why I put them there. They are the people that just create this framework. There are different framework. You can use Google as their own. So in these 7 golden rules of data analysis, the main reason they put it in there that when you are working in data cleaning, especially data analysis, your data, there are 7 steps that you must follow that are very, very essentials. So that's why when I sent you the file, I'm going to go to the link on the WhatsApp now and paste it so that we can all be on the same page, because I put many things in there in the files. If I'm not be able to handle it, I think my Augusta, Mr. Doctor, please, sir, can you just give us maybe 20 minutes after these 2 hours to demonstrate, because this 7 golden rules is going to take a little bit of time. Hello, my Augusta. I think he might be busy, but if you want us to demonstrate it fully, you can just give me a reaction. I will know that we are all enjoying ourselves. So if you want me to demonstrate it fully by following along, okay, people are reacting, yes. And so far, so good. Are we enjoying ourselves? So, Voila, you can see that we have the same thing here. But me and boss, I like violence sometimes in data cleaning. You know, I told you this M code works the same way in Power Query Editor. What I'm going to do is in Fabrics here now, stop at change data type. You can see that in Fabrics, this Power Query Editor interface in Fabrics is a little bit sweeter than the one in Microsoft Excel. This one is telling me that this step will be evaluated outside the data source, change column type, change type. It's just providing a little bit of context to what we are doing. So what I'm going to do here is my query in Fabric stop at this change type. I'm going to this advanced editor here. I will copy. I know you guys can't do this now. I'm very sorry. So I will copy everything from remove columns. I will copy everything from remove columns and make sure that it works with this. But if it crash, it crash. So you can see the same editor is in here now. I will delete this and put command here and put, this is like the M code of Power Query. This is just going to tell us that there is more in Power Query. So let me put OK. This will still load. Voila. So I can delete the step also. This Power Query now boost. Okay, sorry, I understand why the error is showing. So the change type should be, the last step is hash. Let me just copy this last step in. You can see now that the same code I copied from here, but I did a little bit working. So when you look at this here, it puts change type. That's where the error is coming. I think since maybe in Power BI, in Excel itself. So I'm already reading training on M code. So that's where I was able to discover it, that the error is coming from here. And when we look at it here, this change type is just telling like change column type. That's where the error is coming from. I think in Excel also. So what is the need? Please, what is the need of Power BI and query to a business analyst? I will tell you one fact today. When you start working, the data your boss will be sending to you will not be in the way you like it. Will not be in the way you like it. So when you use this tool, you can make the data your own in the way that is accessible to you. You can perform your calculation. And another thing is, when I'm cleaning data, I don't clean data as if I'm the one that want to use it, even though I might be the one that will work on the end product. One of my key tasks is quality, data quality, and strategies consulting. So most of the time when I'm at work, our clients send data to us. And when they send that data, we have engineers, we have business value specialists, we have a bunch of brilliant people. But before those, maybe I'm working on that particular project, before those brilliant people start reviewing this data, because data is money. This Power BI we are using, if it's in the production environment, the cheapest license for Power BI is $10. And that $10, you have a lot of limitation. When you want to increase, you increase to $20. I think there is $30 on. The next one I know is those one are for just individual user, for me and you. It's not it might be they might subscribe it to you for your company accounts. But the least cheap license that I know for a organizational capacity, which is called premium capacity, costs $5,000. When you want a full organization capacity for Power BI license, but you can reach out to Microsoft support for discounts. And if you are Microsoft partners, you can reach out to them for discounts. So knowing Power Query, you working with your organization has subscribed to 5,000 tools, like this Microsoft Fabrics now. You will be seeing capacity of $10,000, $15,000. These things are money. Even your Excel, Microsoft Office 365, all of us are using for companies. I'm not talking about some of us that are using in Nigeria. Crack is very common. So if you are using a company enterprise Excel Office 365, I think some of them cost $20, $25. So all these things are money. Your organization view data that you are cleaning, that you are working it as money. So you too, because it is money, you need to give them the best value of it. So knowing Power Query can also assist you on that when your organization is using Power BI or some Microsoft technology. I believe I've answered your question. Please let me know. So you can see now that with my knowledge of Power Query in Excel or Power BI, I was able to tweak some things in here to make sure that it works in Fabrics. I can remove column the way I remove column in Excel or Fabrics. Same thing. I can add column, same thing. And Mr. Paul is going to demonstrate it for us very well. So since I've gotten permission from us to treat the 7 golden rules of data, please, if you get what I'm trying to explain, since please let me know. You can just react, I will know, and continue. Okay. Now, these 7 golden rules of data analysis, of data cleaning or data analysis is very, very important, because how do we know what to clean? Like we are not all knowing, we are human beings. Will Power BI open on your phone? No. Unless we are using service. And Power BI on the phone can only be used to view reports that somebody that they have paid for their Power BI license, like the one I'm using, can has shared to you. So now these 7 golden rules of data, I'll show us how we can group. So I'm going to press new group and I'll put it count group as folder. You can see it demonstrate as folder here. 7 golden rules of data cleaning / analysis. So when we want to look at these 7 golden rules of data analysis, all this the brown consulting, what are they telling us? So rule number 1 row of headings. So I'm going to drag my, when you click on that link, I'm trying to find the group chat now. If you are on the group chat and you have downloaded these files on your system, I don't know if Mr. Paul is going to be using the same file, but it will be communicated to you because we collaborate, as I told you. You can see I've put the data for 7 golden rules in here. And if you have downloaded it like this, you can see all of them are text files to demonstrate the scenario. So me, I've downloaded them here on my system. They are in here.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you are, okay. Please, who is that? Please, that person should mute. So if you have downloaded it on your system like this, so the first thing I'm going to do is network, don't do me like this. Sorry, if you can hear me, please let me know. My network is shaking.
I can hear you.
Sorry.
We can hear you.
Okay, sorry, my network is a bit shaking now.
That's right. The network that has sustained you for almost 2 hours has not tried the job a bit.
Okay, I mean, I enjoy with you.
It has tried now. That's what I said. The network has sustained you for almost 2 hours. It has tried.
Yes, sir. So I want to switch my network to another router I'm using. Sorry, please hold on. Just a few minutes.
I like this office. So
Thank you, sir. Sorry, I'm changing my network, so it will be a bit slow. Okay. I will be back now. I think I'm okay now. So if you can see my screen, please let me know.
We can see it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Please, I'm going to just take 20 minutes to explain these 7 golden rules. And my other colleague that will be taking the part 2, we will be starting from here. And I'm going to tell him where I stopped. So 7 golden rules of data analysis. So by the Brown Consulting, we have, okay, I've explained this already. 1 rule of heading for data. So when you have access, you have created this group now, and you have access to this file, you can see that I create them according to the name of what we are doing. So this 1 row of heading we have here now, navigating this thing. So we must only have 1 row of header. So only 1 row of header. And another thing is, sorry, I might want to be minimizing now because I'll be showing PowerPoint and I'll be showing Excel. I'm very sorry, it might be a bit rough. But please understand. So this facilitates easy reference and enable quick analysis. So all this story that I put here, what am I talking about? Let's do it in action. So all of us import these multiple headings data in the data set. So I might be a bit fast. So you can go to new query or new source, anyone you want. I told you, you might not use my own way. You can use your own way. So you can go to new query and click on text and CSV because you need to understand the file type. You can see the type is documents. So you need to go to text and CSV. So navigate to that folder. So it's in my OneDrive personal account. And I have it here, Power Query exercise copy, 7 golden rules of data analysis, and multiple headings. I am sure some of us have done this before I even do it. So these golden rules, they are golden. What are they saying? And everything on this slide, what is it telling me? Everything in here. This using 1 row of headers, ensure consistency and clarity, and this facilitates easy reference. So what is it telling me? So it's telling me that when we see this data now, we have product dates, product dates. This has 2 headers. Imagine you in Excel, you want to present it to your guy, and you are presenting a table like this. Number 1, in Excel, the header is like this, but in Power Query, you have to put one of these as headers. So one of the ways to do this is, this is index number 1, this is a record. When you hover in Power Query like this, you click on a single element like this, it's showing only that particular record in that column. But when you click on this index like this, it's going to show you the details of that record. I click on 3 like this. I click on 4. I'm sorry, there is no way I can zoom in this editor. So one thing I can do is, I know that this index is number 1. I only want to see the data like this. Products should be the title at this top, at the top. You should have A, B, C. So I want to remove this one. So one thing I can do is there are different ways. I know somebody that will first use first row as header. So one thing I'm going to do first is I want to remove this number 1. I will go to, if you are on the home tab, make sure you are on the home tab. Click on the home tab and you will see remove rows. You can see when you hover on it, it's showing a tooltip that shows the rows you want to remove. Sometimes read the English before you select what you can do, what you want to do. So you can just say remove top rows, because I know that these rows I want to remove is at the top. You see, it's telling me remove bottom rows, alternate rows, but for now, I want to remove the top rows. And it's telling me what are the numbers of rows I want to remove. The first row, which is this number 1. I will click on OK. But we can see that it's still showing column 1, column 2, column 3. In order for this up here to be showing products, this up here to be showing sales, this up here to be showing dates, there is this function in Power Query. You need to make sure you are at the home tab again and press, this now is row 1, and press use first row as headers. You can see use first row as headers. You can see use headers in the first row, but I'm going to use first row as headers. And when we see this now, we have fulfilled this row number 1, 1 row of headings. I believe if we are clear, please, we don't have a lot of time. Please let me know by your reaction and I will proceed to rule 2. Okay, thank you. So the second rule is no empty columns. No empty columns. And how will this affect our data? How will you know? You have to check. I just create those simple data in order for us to know that when you start working on large data, these are common things you should check out. The rule number 2 is they said that empty rows add no value to data tables and are a waste of space. When we are working in fabrics, I told you that data is money. You can see that there is one part here that says destination. If I store this data to any destination on fabrics, as big as the data, Microsoft will be charging that company. And the more columns, the more rows you have, they will charge your company. That's why I said, when you start cleaning data, sometimes, and these are the things that when you want to post on LinkedIn, you started putting it out there, it will show you as an expert. Because I can tell you, I post on LinkedIn a lot for people that know me here. But one thing that you can show your credibility is all of us can be posting same thing. But when you started telling this thing that in real world scenario, by removing this data, is going to save the company money, the storage cost, you are differentiating yourself because you are looking at it from strategic point of view. But when I start this thing that time, somebody was asking me, show us the interface. We want to see the demonstration. People that post like that on LinkedIn are putting it as a tool. But you are looking at this Power Query more than a tool. You are looking at it like, how will it help solve a company problem? So that's why we said this empty space, empty column is going to add to the file size, and we might be making our company to be wasting a lot of money. So by removing it, it will also make our data processes, the loading of the dashboard, to be fast. So let's see it in demonstration. So now I think I'll be using this. What is the name? Because I need no empty columns. Empty column file, you can import it straight. As I said, I've named it like that. So let's go to this thing. I will click on 7 golden rules again. Right click, and you can use new source, anyone you want. So new query, text and CSV, and let's see it in action, empty column. But the other data on the file in here, the other folder that we have here on this thing, flat files, if it is the one Mr. Paul is going to be using, is going to let us know. As I said, I just create it like that during the collaboration. But this is the one I'm doing now. So I'm in the Power BI editor now. It's asking me, okay, this is what we have. And imagine, let's look at the data the way it is. When we load the data, we see an empty column in here. Imagine we send this as a spreadsheet to our boss. The way it is not making sense like this. So let me even open the file in Excel. Okay. Oops. Sorry, we'll be showing us this thing. Let me delete all this because I'm in Power Query Editor in Excel now. And to load text file in Excel is not a CSV. We have to be using the Power Query Editor. So let me just get data. The way it is in raw format, that's the way I'm going to be loading. I'm not doing the transformation in Excel. 7 golden rules. Okay, quickly. Empty columns. Because start counting all this as a table in Excel. I believe they have done justice to Excel on that. So let me just click close and load. And I'll be pressing OK in here. So you can see empty columns. This is the way it is now. And this is the way it is in Power BI when we load it. But when we send this data, imagine you, somebody like call himself a professional now, send this type of data to you. You too, you will feel another like, kilo mean? What does it mean? What do you mean now? So, as a professional data analyst, we are in this program and we have trained on Power BI. So, the best way is to remove this column. So, there are different ways to remove column in Power BI. You can press remove column in here. And if you like FEC, you can click on it, remove column. So remove other column, it will be demonstrating by Mr. Paul to you. And you can right click and press remove. So we have fulfilled this. So removing empty column, streamline data processing. I'm sorry for taking much of our time. And we can see that the way it is here and the way it is here, this makes sense better. So let's look at the next rule. No empty rows. So when you look at the file, I put it there, empty rows. So empty rows are redundant because they might confuse, they might affect your average when you start doing your average calculation, because average is going to count the number of record divided, sum divided by number of record. So also this take space. The way it affects the empty column, it also affects the empty rows. Also, what does it? So if we remove it, it will make our data to be this thing. I will not be demonstrating in Excel again because of time. So let's load it, text data, and put empty rows. So sometimes we have null and we have any. You see this argument in the data space. Some people categorize null, NA as the same. One thing I will just let us know is a text file might usually have NA. NA means not available. And when you see NA, most of the time in production, I don't advise people to remove it because NA means they are aware of it, but that record is not available. And the best thing for you to do is notify your direct supervisor. Don't just be removing null and NA sometimes. Let's say now, this one there is null, but this one has date. Is a big issue for me because if I remove null from here, it's going to affect this date. But for now, everything in here is not showing any value. Everything is null. But if this is null and this one has date, or this one is null, this one has number, just remove the one that the two, all of them are null. You see the one that this one is null and this one has number, or this one has a value, this one has a value, maybe M, but both of them are null. In production environments, please notify this and refer to your boss. But in this scenario right now, the product is empty, the null is sales is empty, the date is empty. Based on your own discretion, you know that if this one is empty, all of them are empty. So you can use filter by removing blank. You can do it like that. It works. There is no one way. This is not one way traffic. You can right click and press remove empty. It also gives us the same thing. And you can go to the transform tab. If you're on the, go to the transform tab and okay. I think it's fabrics I used to see it here. So let's just go with that. So you can look at it, click on it. The way you are filtering blanks in Excel, just filter the blanks and you have a complete data. But please note, when you want to remove null, check the scenario very well and refer to your superiors or the person that sent you the data. Rule number 4, everything dates must be in the single column. So why is it important? Because if you put dates in a single column, it will allow us to filter very well and look at the data as a whole. And date is called time series. So you can see this is a number time here in the picture. Don't mind the number. So this also make quick analysis of time series data. If you hear time series data in data analysis, it means that anything date related. Based on the file, you should have seen that I've labeled it here, text file, and we will look at dates in multiple columns. So for this, there are multiple ways to do it, but as we advance, this is the way the data is. You can see year in another column, months in another column, day in another column, and it's not making sense. And when we look at it here, you can see this one has 1/1/2024, and this one has 2024 1/1/1/1/1. So we can look, you can just go to the add column and click on year, months, day. Make sure you click on the 3 and press, I think, where is merge column here? Okay, I've seen it here. I know it's up there. I just know that you will see when you, if you want to highlight the two together, you can just click on year, control, Control, or the way you use it in Excel, you can click on here and hold Shift today and press merge column. So this merge column is going to ask you, are you going to put separator? I'm going to put costume, and I'll be using this / because I want this to be separated by 2024 111, and I will name the column dates. So we see that it's not making sense right now, but hold on. I will now go to my transform tab and I will make it, you will see this data type here. When it detects this data type, Power Query is detecting as a text, but we are going to make it like this is a date. So when we make it like this, all this, you can decide to leave it, but for now, I'm going to remove it. So there is other way to remove in Power Query. Let's say you don't have any other thing related together. So you can just click on control, date, product, sales. Right click and press oh, let me just use the home tab. Just use you see this remove columns, click on this ellipse button in here and press remove other columns. So we now have a data set that followed this rule. Hope we are getting it. So unique data in unique rule. When we get into the data modeling, you will understand the importance of this. So putting unique data makes data table more efficient and avoid redundancy. This enables effective data analysis and processing. So I'm just going to be telling you what unique is all about. So I might not lay much example on this because this is a topic that is going to take a lot of time. And in data modeling, the instructor will definitely go over it. So where is unique this thing? It seems like I did not create it. Oops. So one thing I'm just going to show you is let's say this B now. Let's say in this data now, let me just change this B to A. If I want to ask what are data that are unique in here, in case you want to be seeing the interface like my own, the way it's showing down like this, the way valid, error, and empty is showing at the top, just go to the top, click on column quality and column profile. Go to the view tab, click on column quality and column profile. So if data appears once, any data, like now in this data set now, if I ask any of us, what are the products we have? You are going to tell him product A, product C, product D, product E. If they are distinct, they are called unique. It means that different data that are in there. But we have another thing. I think in how they should have treated this, we have something called distinct. Distinct means is out of this data, how many of them appear once? Because you know that we have 10 here, 10 rows, but this A appears 2 times. So we only have 9 distinct data because this A, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, they are 9. They only appear once because A appears 2 times. So it's not distinct, but we have 8 different products in here. So if we have data like that, this if you want to get a unique value, you can just press remove duplicates. But in our case, we are not doing something like that. But when we get into the data modeling, that is the concept about that. So avoid totals or subtotals. I've heard a story from one of my mentors. Hello, my boss. I'm sorry we are taking more than 2 hours. But I believe we need to cover this for the next instructor to really go forward. So I heard that story that this particular guy works in a bank. And at the end of the year session, they call him as a data analyst to come and analyze their data. Because due to like he did not attend this class, I can say that time, he made one huge mistake. And you know, when we are using Excel, I'm going to load this data in Excel now. When we are using Excel, in order for us to see it here, and we usually put, when we are treating Excel, they teach us how to calculate sum, average, and let's say load. I'm going to delete this. Let's say when that person, the orga that sent in the data, he did sum in here. You can see I did sum in here, the subtotal. We have them here. And he sent the data to him. So they now ask him, okay, how much profit did we make at the end of the year? He looked at the data and he said they made, let me just, where is the recommended chart? So he looked at the data and he told his boss that they asked him how much profit did we make. So he calculates everything like this from year to year. That's the mistake he made. And he told them that they made 6,600 sales. The company was so happy. And based on what I heard, this is a true story. They even threw New Year anniversary. Please, somebody said my volume just went low. Please.
The volume is okay.
Okay, thank you. So when they throw New Year party, like the way we have this scenario here now, he told his boss that we made 6,000, we have sold 6,000 units of all these products. They were rejoicing. End of the year party, everything is going blah, 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 blah. And they want to go and check their balance sheet. They call external auditor. And the auditor find out that they were even making loss. And they started checking and they discovered that he had totals and subtotals in his calculation. You know, this affects the way we see it in Excel now. This affects the total value. So when we are looking at our data, sometimes scan. So let's take a look at this in Power BI. How can we detect it? You have to scan. And since you are familiar with this now, you need to keep scanning this type of things. Totals and subtotals, you need to keep scanning. Those are, when they ask you, clean data, these are the things you should look out for. So you start looking at it. And one other way to look at it is to look at the ascending and the descending order. When you look at descending order, you see the largest multiple values in here. And this might be an anomaly. It might be correct, this 3,300 might be correct, but the person labeling it might just put maybe you want to put T, you put total. It might be that. But when you notice something like this, first refer to your superiors. But when you are working alone, like the way we are working now, we have to remove this total from there. So my sorted rows, I'm going to delete this step and I will click on totals and subtotals and filter it out in order for us to have a structured data. And the next thing for us is, which is the last step in the golden rules, is to know obstruction around the data. What are all the obstruction we are talking about? Let's demonstrate them, how they will be in Excel. So when they talk about data cleaning, we are doing, those are the things we check in data cleaning. So I believe in the second class, which is the continuation of this by Mr. Paul, where we now have a case study of where we will be looking at all these scenarios, how it can affect our data by looking at a very, 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 very large data set. And I believe that class is going to be interesting. So, you know, I'm opening it in Power Query Editor. Everybody is not seeing the way it is in Excel. So I'm going to load it in Excel. I think opening Excel, opening Power BI is making this class low. Let's say when you are looking at this data, your boss just put this here. Note, this is sales data for Q1, no? Product, sales, date. We can see, I'm supposed to make this interactive, but time is on our way. Based on this data here now, we have a lot of issues. The headers are not correct. There is this obstruction, this notes. This is the correct header. So, in order to do this in Power Query Editor, all this obstruction, we need to remove them. And based on what we have treated so far, while I'm loading the data, somebody should volunteer for us the easiest way for us to remove this obstruction in Power Query Editor. Anybody, any volunteer? Please, we are running out of time and
Hey, Oga Leje,
yes,
we have
sir.
run out of time about 30 minutes ago. So, so people already can see that people have already started dropping off because we have actually run out of time.
Okay, no problem.
Over 10 people have actually dropped off because most likely people would have to go and charge their laptop again to prepare for the next session. So we have actually run out of time, run out a long time ago.
Okay, let me just demonstrate this slide. And the next is by Mr. Posa.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, sir. So I'm very sorry for this. So in order to just remove this, I'm going to remove the top two rows in this data, the way I remove rows here, remove rows, and this is the last example also. So let me just remove the top two rows and use this as header. So the obstruction has been removed. So when we have done this, you can click on close and apply, and it will load in your Power Query Editor. So we have finished the importance of the 7 golden rules. So the common data cleaning steps, I think the slide will be ready after Mr. Paul's session. He will be handling it from year to year because his own will be very, very technical. You can see a lot of time. Please join early. And this will be the end of my own session. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everyone, for listening. So my guy said it, I want everybody to get everything. Yes, sir, but I just want the foundation to be right. So when Mr. Paul wants to do the practical side of it, everybody can get it. So, sir, thank you very much for having me here. Thank you, everyone that stayed on the call. And we are at the end of the session. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ganiu Aina. Really, we sincerely appreciate you for that thoroughly working through, because a lot of time when we hold sessions, we don't thoroughly deal with the theoretical aspect. I really like the way you have been able to deal excessively with the theoretical aspect, and we also interchange with the answer. Thanks to everybody for staying on the call till this time, and we most appreciate our resource person who have taken out of their very busy time to ensure that they give us a very, very pleasant stay during this. This is day 2 of the Power BI. The Power BI is 3 weeks. So we are day 1, week one of the Power BI as well. So by God's grace, we'll meet in the afternoon by 2 p.m. again, where Paul is able to give us another wonderful session. Who is taking us tomorrow, Mr. Ganiu?
Yes, sir, I think it's going to be Abib. I have it in the picture I sent to you.
Okay.
I have Abib Lawal.
Okay. Oh, that's good. So that's very good. So thanks a lot.